I still remember the first night I noticed something was off with my wife, Emily. For the past 7 years, we'd shared a quiet life together, built on routines and small rituals, morning coffee on the balcony, late-night talks about nothing, and Sunday walks with our dog, Max. But lately, she had started to drift. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. Everyone has stressful weeks at work, right? But the signs kept stacking up. Her phone, which used to be left carelessly on the table, was suddenly glued to her hand. She'd step outside to take calls, whispering with her back turned to me. Sometimes, she came home later than usual, claiming she had extra meetings, though her job at the design studio had never demanded late hours before. I wanted to believe her. God knows I tried. But there was this gnawing feeling in my gut, a whisper that wouldn't shut up. Something's wrong. One night, as she was taking a shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I don't make a habit of snooping, but I swear my heart pushed me forward. I glanced at the screen, just a preview of a message. "Can't stop thinking about last night." My hands went cold. My stomach turned like I had swallowed a rock. When she walked back into the bedroom, wrapped in her towel, I forced myself to act normal. But I couldn't stop staring at her, wondering if I even knew who she really was anymore. The next few days, I watched more closely. She wore perfume to work when she never used to. She smiled at her phone, the kind of smile she hadn't given me in months. Every little thing added up, painting a picture I didn't want to see. I told myself I needed proof before accusing her. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe I was just paranoid, but deep down, I already knew. So I came up with a plan. I told Emily I'd be working late one evening, but instead, I drove back home after she left. I parked down the street and waited, heart racing with every passing minute. At 8:15, a car pulled up in front of our house. A man stepped out, tall, well-dressed, carrying himself like he belonged anywhere but my driveway. Emily opened the door almost instantly, like she had been waiting. And then, she hugged him. Not the polite kind of hug you give a colleague. It lingered. Too close. Too familiar. That was the moment my world cracked. I wanted to storm up, to scream, to drag him out of my house. But instead, I sat frozen in the car, my chest tight, my knuckles white around the steering wheel. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The woman I loved, the woman I married, was holding another man in our home. And I knew this was only the beginning. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying that hug over and over. Emily slept beside me, breathing softly, like she had nothing to hide. I wanted to shake her awake, to demand an explanation, but instead, I just lay there, paralyzed by disbelief. The next morning, she kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, like she always did. Only now, it felt like an act, a performance she was rehearsing. I could still smell his cologne on her clothes, faint but undeniable. I started noticing more things. The way she guarded her phone like it was a part of her body. The sudden, unexplained deposits into her bank account, money she brushed off as extra projects. The late nights out, the lies that sounded rehearsed. It ate me alive. Every time she smiled at me, I saw the shadow of him standing behind her. Every time she touched me, I wondered if she was imagining someone else. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I decided to gather proof. Something solid, something undeniable. Because if I accused her too soon, she'd deny it, twist it, maybe even make me look crazy. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Martin, an old-school guy with a gruff voice and eyes that had seen too much. I told him everything, and he didn't even flinch. He just nodded and said, "Give me a week." Those 7 days were the longest of my life. I tried to act normal, but inside, I was unraveling. I watched her laugh over dinner, pretending like nothing was wrong. I listened to her stories about work stress, knowing damn well she was lying. Finally, Martin called. "We need to meet." His voice was low, serious. My stomach dropped. We met at a small diner on the edge of town. He slid a manila envelope across the table. "You might not want to look at this here," he said. But I did. God help me, I did. Inside were photos. Emily, holding hands with that same man. Emily, sitting across from him at a restaurant, their faces lit with smiles I hadn't seen from her in months. Emily, kissing him in the parking lot like a teenager in love. Each picture was a dagger. I couldn't breathe. I shoved the envelope back toward Martin, my hand shaking. "I'm sorry, kid," he muttered, sipping his coffee. "She's gone. People don't come back from this." But I wasn't ready to believe that. Not yet. That night, when Emily came home, she looked radiant, almost glowing. And I couldn't help but think, it wasn't me who made her shine like that anymore. I sat there, staring at her across the dinner table, my appetite gone. She noticed, of course. "You okay?" she asked, tilting her head. I forced a smile. "Yeah. Just tired." But inside, my blood was boiling. Because now I had proof. Now I knew the truth. And the only question left was, what was I going to do about it? The following days felt like walking through a minefield. Every time Emily smiled, every time she touched my hand, I felt an explosion inside me. I knew. And yet she acted like nothing was wrong, like we were still the same couple we had always been. I caught myself studying her face at dinner, wondering how she could lie so easily. How she could kiss me goodnight after spending her day with him. Did she think I was blind? Or worse, did she think I was too weak to ever confront her? The truth was, I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to explode, to slam the photos down in front of her and demand the truth. Another part of me wanted to hold on, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. Because once I confronted her, once I spoke it aloud, there would be no going back. But then something happened that forced my hand. One evening, she told me she was going to a work dinner. I played along, kissed her cheek, and told her to have fun. The moment she left, I grabbed my keys and followed her. I kept my distance, headlights off, my pulse hammering in my ears. She drove across town to a quiet little Italian restaurant. I parked across the street, my hands trembling against the steering wheel. And there he was. The same man. Waiting for her. She walked in, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. They hugged, then sat close, laughing, whispering, sharing a bottle of wine. From where I sat, I could see everything, the way she touched his arm, the way he leaned in like she was the only person in the world. I wanted to storm in and drag her out, to scream that she was mine, that she had vowed to me. But I couldn't move. I sat frozen, suffocating under the weight of betrayal. When they left, I followed again. This time, they didn't head back to our neighborhood. They drove to a hotel. My chest tightened as I watched them walk inside together, hand in hand. That was the breaking point. I drove home in silence, my vision blurred by rage and heartbreak. When she finally came back hours later, she tried to slip into bed quietly, thinking I was asleep. I kept my eyes closed, my fists clenched under the covers. The next morning, I couldn't hold it in any longer. Over breakfast, I asked casually, "How was your work dinner?" She didn't even blink. "It was fine. Just the usual." That lie, so casual, so effortless, it snapped something inside me. I stared at her for a long time, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was looking at a stranger. I didn't confront her then. Not yet. But I knew the time was coming. The fire inside me was burning too hot to contain. And when it came out, it wouldn't be pretty. The tension in our house became unbearable. Every word, every glance, carried a weight we both felt but never acknowledged. I was breaking apart inside, carrying this storm of anger, betrayal, and disbelief, while she floated through our days as if everything was fine. I tried to imagine what had gone wrong. Was it me? Did I stop giving her the attention she needed? Or had she simply grown tired of me, searching for excitement somewhere else? My mind chewed on these questions day and night, but no answer ever softened the pain. One evening, I decided enough was enough. I pulled the manila envelope from the drawer where I had hidden it, and spread the photos out on the table. The evidence lay before me like shattered glass, each piece cutting deeper than the last. When Emily came home, she looked tired but smiled when she saw me. That smile evaporated the second her eyes landed on the table. Her purse slipped from her hand. What is this?" she stammered. "You tell me," I said, my voice cold, sharper than I intended. She picked up one of the photos, her hands trembling. For a long moment, she said nothing, her lips parting as if searching for words. Finally, she whispered, "It's not what it looks like." I laughed. I actually laughed, though it sounded more like a growl. "Not what it looks like. You're holding hands. You're kissing him in a parking lot. You went into a hotel with him, Emily. Don't you dare stand there and insult me." Tears welled up in her eyes, but they didn't move me. I had spent too many nights crying alone, questioning my own sanity. Now, it was her turn. "Please," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I swear, I still love you. Love me." I slammed my hand against the table, the photos scattering. "You love me? Do you even hear yourself? You've been lying to my face, sneaking around, making me feel like a fool in my own home." She broke then, sobbing into her hands. For a moment, I almost felt pity. But then I remembered the hotel. The way she smiled at him. The way she came home to me afterward, pretending nothing had happened. "I don't even know who you are anymore," I muttered. Her sobs softened, and she finally looked at me with swollen, red eyes. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Just, please, give me a chance to fix it." But how do you fix something that's been shattered into 1,000 pieces? I stood up, my chair scraping across the floor. "You don't get to decide that anymore, Emily. Not after this." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. She didn't chase after me when I walked out of the kitchen. Maybe she knew it was pointless. Maybe she was too broken herself. But as I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, one thing became clear. I had a choice to make. Either I let this betrayal define me, or I take control and decide what comes next. And I knew the decision was coming sooner than I thought. The morning after our confrontation, the house felt like a battlefield after the smoke had cleared, quiet, but littered with the wreckage of everything we once had. Emily moved around like a ghost, her eyes swollen, her voice barely above a whisper when she spoke. I didn't answer her. I couldn't. I spent most of that day driving aimlessly, trying to make sense of the chaos in my head. Part of me wanted to walk away, to slam the door on her and never look back. Another part of me wanted to rewind time, to find the moment where everything went wrong and fix it. But life doesn't give you rewind buttons. Only choices. When I finally came home, she was waiting for me at the kitchen table, her hands clasped together as if in prayer. "Please," she said softly, "just hear me out." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, my silence giving her permission to continue. She poured her heart out then. How she had felt lonely, unseen, how she had craved something new and thrilling. She said the affair hadn't been about replacing me, but about escaping the routine she had let consume her. Her words cut deeper than the betrayal itself, because beneath the lies and excuses, there was a cruel truth. Somewhere along the way, we had both stopped trying. When she finally finished, her eyes were filled with desperation. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. "I'll do anything. Therapy. Honesty. Whatever it takes. Just don't give up on us." I stared at her for a long time, my chest heavy. I thought about the years we had shared, the life we had built, the memories tied to every corner of our home. And then I thought about the hotel, the photos, the nights she lied to my face. Trust, once broken, doesn't grow back the same. It comes back crooked, fragile, always carrying the scar of the break. "I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again," I said finally. My voice shook, not from weakness, but from the weight of the truth. She sobbed quietly, covering her face with her hands. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anger. Just emptiness. That night, I packed a bag. Not because I had made a final decision, but because I needed space to breathe, to think, to remember who I was before all of this. As I closed the door behind me, Emily whispered, "Please come back." But I didn't answer. I stepped out into the night, the cool air hitting my face, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something close to freedom. Maybe I'd forgive her. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe our story was over, or maybe it was just entering a painful new chapter. All I knew was this: sometimes, the only way to find yourself again is to let go of the person who broke you.